Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network for any and all things Star Wars. I'm one of your hosts, as always, Katie Rinchler, and with me, as always, the one and only Clay. Clay, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. I am dog tired though. So like always, uh, I always attempt to stay up and watch the shows that come out on Disney Plus. 2 a.m. I'm always there. So I was creeping to 2 a.m. It was 1:45, and usually at 1:45 I'll be able to refresh Disney Plus and I get the new episode. This time I didn't. So I was like, you know what? I'll wait until 1:50. I fell asleep. In 5 minutes, I fell asleep and then woke up. I woke up at 4:05 and I was like, God damn it. Half of the world has already seen it for like 2+ hours. I need to watch it. So I watched it, went to bed at 4:50, something like that. Didn't even really sleep. I was tossing and turning. And then I had to watch 3 kids today, my cousins and my brother's kids, and they were running all over the place. I finally sat them down to watch the Chippendale Rescue Ranger, which I actually wanted to watch, and I fell asleep in the middle of it. Uh, yeah, I have been like even the second round of Kenobi just now. I found myself like closing my eyes. So I have a soda in
And this one's
hand.
tension building.
It is like once it got to the end, like I was awake, but I got some soda in me. I am good to go. I am ready to talk some Star Wars.
Yeah, you're telling me about tired. I am on a muscle relaxer currently, and I had my alarm set for 3 a.m. because we go to bed because it's the East Coast, and I'm like, I'm not staying up till 3 a.m. I'm gonna go to bed at like 9 o'clock, get a couple hours of sleep, write my review and stuff, and then maybe get another hour of sleep before I gotta get up for work. My alarm went off at 3 a.m. and y'all, I rolled over to Matt and was like, no, absolutely not sleep. Like, this is how tired the muscle relaxer is making me. And he was like, what? And he was mad at me. So then I rolled over, couldn't, like, had trouble getting back to sleep, but got up at 6:15 and I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, let's go watch this. And Matt was like, ugh. He was like, I was more ready to get up at 3 a.m. and watch this than I was at 6:15 to watch this. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, we're all tired, and I have to go take my muscle relaxer in an hour. Otherwise, things happen. I oversleep work. Anyways, y'all, we're gonna talk some Star Wars Celebration. We didn't talk about one thing in our part 1 and part 2 episode review for Obi-Wan Kenobi. We talked about Andor and some of the other things that dropped on day 1, but the High Republic stuff we have saved for today to talk about. We have a little bit from day 2, not much. Um and then day 3 and day 4 all to talk about. So y'all, before we get into that and then the review for the episode, obviously, uh we have to do the podcast network side of things. So there are 8 shows on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network, 7 days a week. Slice of Film and Ranger Alliance are both bi-weekly shows on Mondays. DC Alliance drops on Tuesdays. Superhero Discussions is on Wednesdays. Star Wars Alliance, you're here. It's a Thursday episode drop. Marvel Alliance is on Fridays. A Walk Through the Multiverse is bi-weekly on Saturdays. And World's Finest True Believers, which just dropped their latest episode, is the last Sunday of the month. Um, 3 of those shows have their own solo feeds: Star Wars Alliance, DC Alliance, as well as Marvel Alliance. And those shows also do lives. Um, so DC Alliance is live Monday nights at y'all are 9 Eastern, right? Just 9.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
the regular
9
time.
Eastern.
9.
Yes.
Okay. And then Star Wars Alliance is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays, and then Marvel Alliance is 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. And like I said, all 3 of those shows have their own solo feeds. So if you're interested in those contents only, you can go check those out there. But those are also great places to rate and review, which is one of the ways that you can promote. Uh, we'd like help promoting the podcast. Those rates and reviews help put the network into the feeds of other listeners who may not be following us on social media. There are two other ways to support us. One is through the ads. Yes, there are ads on this podcast. They help support us as well as the network. And so those ads, we don't get to choose who the ads are from, nor how loud the ads are, nor how many times you hear the same ad in the same episode. So Clay or I will warn you before those are to occur, just so you know and can take that into account with your volume levels or anything else. If you're not interested in ads, another great way to support us is on Patreon, where we have two tiers. The $1 tier helps keep the film reels running around here, and the $5 tier gets y'all ad-free episodes, exclusive episodes, and any early episodes that may drop. With that, I think that about covers us. I got everything, I think.
Yes, you did. You got everything.
Cool. I even have notes pulled up in front of me, y'all, and I still doubted myself. See? Just gonna happen. So y'all, first things first, the High Republic panel, which was graciously covered by a lot of people. This at
I want to bring that up real quick. I understand that as individuals that aren't at Celebration, and even those who are at Celebration, they cannot be everywhere all at once for these panels. So you have to pick and choose. We do appreciate everybody who did jump into the Twitterverse and Instagram and Facebooks and shared a lot of these threads of these announcements. There's got to be a better way for Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Del Rey, whoever, to present these to the public during Celebration.
And it's like Celebration 2019 was absolutely fantastic. I was able to follow it on Twitter, but the panels were also live streamed. And obviously there was a lot of hype around like trailers that were dropping, aka mainly the Rise of Skywalker trailer. In this case, originally for like the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase, which is what the panel was entitled this year for most of their big events, that panel was still broadcast to viewers at home, and then when they went to show footage to people, they either cut the broadcast and said, hey, we'll be right back, or showed something similar to like what everyone was getting in like the room at Celebration. But those panels were also broadcast to different rooms in like the event center. So there's typically 3 stages at Star Wars Celebration. There is the main stage, Galaxy stage, and then the Twin Sun stage.
Yeah.
The main stage is called Celebration stage. But typically some of the bigger panels are broadcast to there because not everybody gets to go to the panels. Like I followed a lot of people who were like, yeah, I didn't get into any of the big panels, or I got into one big panel. Like nobody got into all of the big panels. And there were some people who didn't realize that an Andor trailer had actually dropped until after they left the event center for Celebration. And to me, like, you're not only there because
how does that happen?
Celebration, I know Celebration is a privilege, but you're also there to interact with all of the fans and everything. And you're missing that interaction with people. Like, people were just wandering the like booths and stuff, and I'm like, you can't even just like stream the trailer into there and just, hey, we are about to broadcast this. Like, I saw videos from when the Rise of Skywalker trailer dropped at Celebration, and people were losing their mind. That was something that I would have loved to be at.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know if I'd love to be at that one. And
I still get nervous with bigger crowds. Like small crowds, I've kind of been like, going to a local grocery store or any store. Yeah, whatever. A big crowd like that, it is like a full like stadium thing. So it's massive.
Yeah. And a lot of people have come back from Celebration and have tested positive for COVID and everything. So there's also that to kind of take into consideration. Apparently, ReedPop did not do a great job of enforcing the mask mandate. And some even said they were able, like they saw people without the mandated vaccine / negative tests before Celebration bracelet, because basically everybody had to get their vaccine or a negative test verified, and then they were supposed to keep this bracelet on the whole time. And people said they saw people walking around without that. So it was a poorly managed Star Wars Celebration, and the live stage was absolutely pathetic. I love all of the hosts that were on there,
Yeah.
but in terms of just keeping people engrossed, there were some panels that had barely any attendance that would have done wonders with some of the people at home. And you could have you could have streamed Attack of the Chords, the music of episode 2 with David W. Collins, and
Yes.
instead what we got was the hosts playing Lego Skywalker Saga on the big stage. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I have Lego Skywalker Saga. Why would I watch? I don't come to Star Wars Celebration to watch people play Lego Skywalker Saga. I can do that on my own time.
Yeah, and it would be one thing if like there was an announcement of a huge DLC coming that weekend and they were debuting it or something, but this has been a game that's now been out for almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
And a majority of people that I've talked to that played it beat it within like the first week anyway. So there's nothing new coming out of somebody playing that game at Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
But what
So
all from High Republic have we got news for? Because I know we have been going off, and for me, I can barely remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. So, me, you, and Travis have had particular conversations over one title of a novel, but we'll get there when we get there.
yes. So we knew the Art of the High Republic was coming. And we were able to get a cover image for it, which has Buri Yaga. I'm assuming that's Buri Yaga because there's one
Yes,
other
it
one.
is.
Keeve, Yoda, and Zelen. And then we were able to get some concept art for Phase 2 150 years back. So we have 2 chancellors, one for the core worlds and then one for the outer rim, but both are interested in each other's territory. So I wonder if this is going to be like a merging of nations, quote unquote. Um, but
That would be interesting.
um, yeah, no, for sure. So the female is Chancellor Greylark, and then he's a Quarren, and his name is Chancellor Molo. So could be interesting. And Molo is the one in the Outer Rim. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We also got a Pathfinder team, which is people going through and trying to map out hyperspace lanes. This is done by the Republic, but also a Jedi team. So you can see the 2 Jedi here in the middle, and then the 2 Republic agents along with the droid, which I'm very curious to learn this droid's name. He's so cute. His little triangle
I
droid.
am I am so excited to read about this team because we have heard so much about the Pathfinders uh, in High Republic already. The name
Mhm.
has been dropped as a Pathfinder. So I'm really interested to see what process it takes to find these hyperspeed lanes. SPub says if you stream just the trailers, then people will just film the panels and then post them. And if they just stream the panels, then people will film the trailers and post them. But the issue is exclusivity to Celebration, which is honestly impossible unless they take everyone's phones away. And then the person that sneaks their phone will get all the views for the trailer.
And that is a huge problem, and I get having exclusive things for Celebration, but the people at Celebration also got to hear John Williams lead a team of composers in real life a team of musicians to play the Obi-Wan Kenobi theme, to play the Imperial March, to play the Indiana Jones theme. And so I'm like, there's different ways you can do exclusives for Celebration. The Bad Batch, for instance, we need to talk about them, but the trailer shown to people at Celebration was different from the one shown to everyone else and it was because there was some different things confirmed. There was a little more footage involved. um Heck, seeing Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes with everyone else and early of all things was a great exclusive. So I think there's different ways you can do exclusives without having to tackle the issue of hey this. But Eswell brings up a great point. I don't understand people who just debut footage without preventing other people without preventing people from sharing it openly. And yes, we saw people post footage that was quickly taken down, but not before they had almost 150,000 views on it.
Yeah.
And that's how you want your trailer for Ahsoka to be viewed? That's how you want your Mandalorian trailer to be viewed? I get it. No, it's not how they want it to be viewed, but you have to think that through and go, okay, unless I take everyone's phone from them, I'm going to get this out in the world. We have all 3 trailers.
For me, the argument for me is these trailers will eventually get out, whether it be by phone or be pushed by Lucasfilm. Eventually, they're gonna drop that trailer, and then everybody will be like, "Oh, this is the trailer everybody saw at Celebration." So for me, honestly, you put more into the exclusivity that isn't trailers, that isn't footage, because then it's gonna be more worth it. Because trailers, footage, whatever, I think those things should go ahead and be shared. Because, like you said, you don't want to have a really crappy version of your hardworking trailer and then be like, oh yeah, that's how people got to see Sundula for the very first time. That's how people got to see, Chopper in live action for the first, well, I guess technically for like the third time. But it's stuff like that really, really bothers me.
Yeah, and Espo says none of the CinemaCon footage got leaked and everyone's phones got taken there. And that makes complete sense to me. But these are also massive panels that probably housed 300 to 500 people, I would say, like pretty close to it. So it's really difficult to do, but you also need to take better consideration because one of the biggest things we've talked about with Lucasfilm is the PR aspect. They really struggle with PR. And marketing. So I think they need to come back and rejudge for Star Wars Celebration London, which is the 2023 location. Because I was not thrilled at all with this. Going on to more of the High Republic, did get some cover reveals. So this is the Convergence by Zoraida Cordova book cover, and it does say cover, not final, but I think from what I've heard, this is going to be pretty close to what we're going to see. Quest of the Hidden City by George Mann. So we have what looks like 2 Padawans on the front cover facing, I think, a Nameless right here, I want to say, Clay.
That's what I assumed it
Does that look
was.
like? Yeah. Um and then we got 2 of the initial cover reveals for the Marvel comics. And these 2 were named. I don't remember what their names were, but they're there. And this takes place on Jeddah, from my understanding. So that'll be interesting. And then the Blade comic, which tells the story of the Blade of Bardota, aka Porter Engle. And this will also, Charles Soule said that the Blade comic will detail the origination of the Brash Vow, which is the vow that originated in the Darth Vader comic. Is it the Soul comic or is it? I think it's the Soul comic.
Yes, it is.
So that's that, and it's also mentioned in Into the Dark. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, I think, because that is a really rough vow where people basically leave the Jedi Order to go commune with the Force more in depth. So we'll see what happens. So a new comic from Dark Horse, for the High Republic will be the Nameless Terror, and it is still in the High Republic Adventures setting. But this was not originally announced when they did the Phase 2 boot announcements. Claudia Gray is supposed to be writing the main comic line for Dark Horse. So it'll be cool to see. But that's got what looks like 3 Jedi Knights and maybe an early probe droid on a planet. But George Mann is the busiest man in High Republic Phase 2 because he is also writing an audio drama that will be released on January 3rd, 2023. And it is entitled The Battle of Jeddah, which has been mentioned throughout canon lore previously. So it'll be cool to see that one come down. A script and ebook will be released on Valentine's Day for 2023. So there are those. And then we also got Wave 2 novel announcements. So we have Cataclysm, which will be written by Lydia Kang, Quest for Planet X, which will be written by Tessa Gratton, and Cavan Scott makes his return to writing novels and will be writing the young adult novel Path of Vengeance. And Planet X is the one that we've been talking about, Clay, because
Yes.
everyone's like, what is Planet X?
I told, and that's what Snell kept on asking us, right? What is Planet X? Where is Planet X? Until I finally said, I think Planet X is legit Planet X. Like it's the mystery of the novel.
Yeah.
Now, as far as what that can be, because I would assume because we are officially moving how far since Phantom Menace? Over 1,000.
We're now 300 years.
Oh, I thought it was.
I think
I don't know
300.
why. I don't know why I said 1,000. 300 years. Oh, because it was only 100 years
1,000 years
since. I know it was only 100 years from where we are currently in the High Republic, but we are moving
We're
backward.
150 years. 150. Back.
Okay,
And then it's
we're
150 to the Phantom Menace.
Okay. So yeah, 300 years. 300 years in this galaxy far, far away. I'm sure we've visited a lot of planets, whether it be in live action and or canon novelization of planets that we haven't seen in live action. So like,
Yes.
I feel like we probably know this planet, and it will probably be like that aha moment when we see the what do you
I
think?
feel like that's gonna be how that turns out as well. I have as much as it would be cool to kind of see different things happen. I think we're going to it's going to be a cool reveal when we get it, and we're gonna know the plan. But so Quest for Planet X is currently due April 4th, 2023, and Path of Vengeance is currently due out May 2nd, 2023. Also, in different news, but still along the same path, Quest for the Hidden City, which is the middle grade novel, um, is now going to be out November 1st, which it was formerly supposed to be due out October 4th. Path of Deceit, which is written by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland, is now going to come out October 4th. And Convergence by Zoraida Cordova will now be out on November 15th. So Um, uh, I'm sad because I was really excited for his Ridos novel. I just have to wait a little bit longer. Um, like I really wanted this book for my birthday. Okay, y'all. Like I'm very excited. Not as excited as I am for Shadow of the Sith, but still pretty excited. So that's pretty much all of the High Republic news that we have currently. Everything is still sticking around for phase 2 is sticking around an October launch date. But no word yet on when the comics will be dropping. So, from there, let me check the schedule again. So the main bit of news from Friday, aka day 2, they talked a lot about the Lego Skywalker saga, but then they also did a lot into figurines. This is one of the only other panels that was streamed live. And then they brought out Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation, which will be the third movie in the not canon, but also like runs along in the canon mindset. Um, and that will be out August 5th. And they did a pretty cute poster of gosh, where is it? Oh, I don't have it here. That's why. It's a pretty cute poster of a beach ball that looks like the Death Star.
Oh
So,
yes, I saw that one.
it's pretty cute. The other things from Lucasfilm Publishing, there was one reveal there, but it doesn't stick at the top of my mind. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, there was only one new announcement there. Um,
Now,
okay. I think
Lucasfilm Publishing, was that the uh Dark Horse Obi-Wan Anakin comic?
no.
No.
That has already been announced. We talked about that like 2 episodes ago.
Okay. Everything's freaking getting all jumbled up.
It all blurs together. Don't worry, I got you. Okay. The Lucasfilm Publishing panel on day 2 was the nonfiction books. And I saw a pretty cool galaxy map poster that I'm very jealous that people at Celebration got. So if anyone wants to like give theirs up or has an extra copy or something, I would be more than happy to have it. So going into day 3,
Well, wait,
the panel
real quick, I think I just found it. Was it the Chronicles of the Jedi?
maybe that may be what I'm thinking about. You
It's
share your
the
screen?
Starlight Stories. Yeah, let me
Oh
actually.
no, that's already been announced. Because
What
that's
the
the
heck?
that's the collection of the Star Wars Insider
Oh, you
short
know what? It
stories.
was the day before our. Oh no, that was on our regular show last week, not the review show, but our regular show. That's what it was. Dang it. Anyway.
So the first panel on Saturday was Mando Plus. A conversation with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Sorry, all my eye is twitching. So they did a lot of diving into the Mandalorian to start it off. But also reminded everyone it's Mando Plus because the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and the Mandalorian all make one big happy family, aka story. So that's why the panel was entitled Mando Plus.
It's the Mandalorian
Apparently,
saga.
yes, the Mandalorian, totally. They're happy the Mandalorian has brought new viewers to the films as well as the animated shows, and joked that nothing has ever leaked, which we all know that is a blatant lie. They said that the only thing that have ever not leaked was Grogu and Luke Skywalker. So that's
Which
pretty
is a
cool,
feat
but it
within
also
its
kind of
own.
it is, because when everything's leaking and you manage to keep some of like the two biggest secrets in Star Wars a secret, yeah, that's pretty cool. Tamura Morrison, just like as a kind of tangent, any footage I saw of him at Celebration, he was having the time of his life. Like the man was out there doing the haka on the live stage. But he was also just smiling on the Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary panel. He and Daniel Logan were just having a ball, and Daniel Logan was like, I had no idea who Ewan McGregor was, but I knew who Tamura Morrison was, and I wanted to look up to him. I wanted to be him when I grew up, and I was like, I'm so happy he's back.
That's
And he
awesome.
talked about how he's been basically signing autographs left and right as Cody, Jango Fett, Boba Fett, Rex, and all these other clones, and just was like signing any and all autographs. It's kind of cool. The lyrics, we talked about that in the Book of Boba Fett finale episode. But the
Yeah.
lyrics where it's Boba Fett, Boba Fett, or whatever it was, I don't remember. It was the original idea from Ludwig Göransson to include those in the music, but they saved it specifically for the last episode. It's kind of like a, hey, this is cool.
Okay.
Katie Sackhoff and Rick Famuyiwa did also join the panel, and both refused to pass along any spoilers, but Famuyiwa has also been made an executive producer for season 3 of The Mandalorian, which is cool. He's been with that show for forever. So it's good to see him like getting a promotion, I guess.
Yeah.
There was also new footage shown. It was like the same. They showed the panel attendees another set of footage, and it was basically the same as from day one, but was extended. There was full footage shown of Mandalore in ruins, as well as a Star Destroyer. Several Mandalorians are shown, as well as some Anzellans, which are the species of Babu Frick in The Rise of Skywalker. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, Babu Frick is going to be in The Mandalorian Season 3. No, people came back and clarified it was just the species. It was
Yeah.
just everybody kind of connected it. So, then carrying on from there, we got Ahsoka. So Rosario Dawson and Natasha Liu Bordizzo came out, and they all confirmed Bordizzo is the live action Sabine Wren. Um, Chopper was actively brought out on stage, and Grogu as well. So they were able to kind of take a big group family picture. And then after only 3 weeks of filming Ahsoka, they were able to bring footage that we didn't get to see,
Quote unquote.
quote unquote. So the description that we have from Screen Rant is Ahsoka Tano is on a ship, and we also see an appearance of Hera from behind. We never saw Hera's face, so there's no identification as to who is playing her. But we do see Sabine Wren shown in front of the Star Wars Rebels mural from the series finale epilogue. There are several other shots in the trailer, but one of note looks like a human hand on a table reaching out, like they're trying to use the force on a coffee cup far away from them. And a lot of people's theories is that is Jason, who is Hera and Kanan's son. So
Yeah.
that could be really cool to see. I did see another headcanon from Zach, who's been on the show before. He said that because the mural looks exactly like how it is in the Rebels series finale, that he is now headcanoning that Sabine is telling the Rebels story, and it's shown in the way of her artwork.
I
So
think
if
that's pretty cool.
yeah,
But the one thing that we didn't really bring up when we talked about the footage last time, do you think? Because I have now seen theories that Ahsoka. Have we gotten a confirmation on how long Ahsoka will be? 6, 8,
I believe it's going to be 8 episodes.
8 episodes.
It was
So
originally announced as a limited series, but I don't know if they're sticking with that.
okay, okay, because I have now seen a lot of people theorize and speculate that because we see the scene with the mural, that uh this will be a show that jumps into two different timelines, that of like the beginning of Ahsoka kind of getting everybody together to go find Ezra, and then like basically after the fact, and like them like actually encountering Thrawn. So two separate timelines. How do you feel about that?
That could be interesting. However, I just want to see a very standard show. I think of the some of the time jumping shows lately have kind of confused people, and
Yeah,
I would rather see a clean show start to finish, even if you have to have some time jumps in between that to kind of make the story work. Um, I just want like a little bit more condensed storyline versus having to track everything along the line.
yeah.
How do
I
you feel about that?
I don't want it to happen. I genuinely want the first two episodes, if not just the first episode, to be the hey, let's get the band back together episode. Um, because I don't know if you noticed this. I didn't notice it and I still question it. But like one of the first few frames of that trailer, people are saying that Zeb was there, a live action Zeb was in the first few frames of the trailer. He's probably my most anticipated to see in live action, just because I really want to see how they do it. Of
Yeah.
course, and it's Star Wars, so I know they're gonna do good. Their hair and makeup and prosthetics and everything is great, but I can't remember his freaking voice actor's name. Steve Blum. Steve Blum is probably one of my favorite voice actors. Steve Blum voices Wolverine a lot. And so whenever I hear Zeb, I'm like, that is so great because Zeb is basically Wolverine in space. Um, I really want to see him and Ezra back together. And this is my only chance of getting to see that happen. Um, a lot of people are calling this like Rebels season 5, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that also, because I love Rebels. So
I think a lot of people are concerned that their Star Wars is going to take a direction into just moving strictly away from animation and leaving animation more towards a kids direction versus a hey, any Star Wars stories for everyone kind of thing.
uh-huh.
Which could be said with the Young Jedi Adventures, Tales of the Jedi, which we're about to talk about. But they also took into consideration in this panel talking about Tia Sakar, as well as Ashley Eckstein not playing the roles of Ahsoka and Sabine respectively, or not respectively, because I think I got that backwards. Anyways, not playing their respective characters um in live action.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are taking like Star Wars slash Lucasfilm is trying to take this because they know the backlash that Rosario is getting and kind of going, oh, okay, well, this is why, and having Dave Filoni explain that. Um, but also there was a lot of backlash because Tia Sarkar was like, yeah, they're not prioritizing animation um autographs or pictures. And again, I think Star Wars Celebration as a whole was a little bit of a shit show. Um, so I think they were trying to like scoot past everything, but you're also going, okay, hey, maybe it is smart to kind of move in a live action only direction. I know Tia has had some live action roles, but Ashley, I don't think has had any live action roles. She's been primarily a voice actress. So you have to take that into consideration because sometimes sometimes a live action actor can bring that to life a lot better. I know Rosario has had the case against her. It has been dropped in a court of law. So I think they really just need to, instead of beating around the bush of that, they need to just attack it head on and go, hey, we recognize this. We've talked with her. Like,
well, especially now, in especially after, what was it, last night, the whole thing with Ian McGregor came onto social media and everything
yeah,
else. Uh, and
yeah.
and the one thing that Snell brought up, and again, I want to go ahead and just preface this. I think that Star Wars definitely, or Lucasfilm and everybody attached to it, definitely saw the backlash and the disgustingness of what kind of people were attacking these actors and actresses with the sequel trilogy. And they're like, hey, once we start making more stories of Star Wars, let's actually do something about it. They made the mistake of not really being there with the sequel trilogy a whole lot. They can learn from mistakes. So, but Travis said, you know, let's see if they still keep this kind of energy up when people from the sequel trilogy, if they ever do come back, you know.
Yeah.
But
And I think he brought up a good point with Ewan McGregor being, or somebody on Twitter, I don't know if it was Snell particularly, but this is like the hero of their mind in the prequel trilogy, and them actually saying it may have a lot more to do with it. But a lot of people have idolized Mark Hamill, and you could have had Mark Hamill do the same video, I feel like,
yeah,
defending some people. However, I don't want this to detract from Star Wars actively saying, hey, don't be a racist bitch. And Ewan doing the video in his car to say, hey, if you're a racist, you're not a
you're,
Star Wars fan.
yeah,
Like, I don't want to detract from that because I'm very happy that we're moving in a good direction of, hey, Star Wars is defending their BIPOC people of color. I said POC and then people of color. Y'all, I'm sorry.
it's been a day for
I
both
don't
of
want
us.
to
We're
detract from
good.
that. Yeah, it has. I don't want to detract from that, but yes, the energy needs to continue, and I hope they're doing more behind the scenes to actively protect their actors and actresses who are involved in productions from here on out. Because Moses Ingram posted some screenshots that she's been getting, and that is horrendous. You do not harass people. You can critique someone without harassing them or being a racist. Let's
Yeah.
just like leave it at that. Okay? Don't be a racist, don't be a harasser, just don't be a bad person.
And I also want to, when we get to episode 3 of this Kenobi review, I want to bring up something that I just saw on TikTok that makes me laugh every single time somebody complains about the type of character Reva is in Star Wars. So remind me of that, because I just found it very funny that things are looking the way they are in reality surrounding these actors when people complain about that stuff. But so the Ahsoka stuff, what other stuff was in the past few days?
So we have Tales of the Jedi. Um, so this has been rumored for several months. Apparently, this started as a side project for Filoni between seasons of The Mandalorian, which was all from ideas that he had for the Clone Wars, but didn't fit into the overall narrative. So it'll use the animation style of the Clone Wars and focus on 6 shorts centered around Jedi Knights from the prequels, including a Jedi Dooku, Padawan Qui-Gon Jinn, who will be voiced, in fact, by Liam Neeson and his son, Mace Windu, and 3 episodes will focus on Ahsoka Tano. Fuck.
Yes, so
Sorry.
Katie has the hiccups. She warned me about this beforehand. Whether I edit them out or not, that'll be completely up to me later and how tired
Oh
I
my
am.
gosh.
But I want to go ahead and make this a point. This announcement was actually a really cool surprise because with the conversation that we
Was it
were
a
having,
surprise though?
yes and no, yes and no. it was not a surprise because Tales of the Jedi was something that we knew about since last fall. We started seeing people with that, like, thank you for all of those content creators that was like the Lucasfilm box that they were getting from last fall. That, like, we've known this for a very long time. So that was not the surprise. What was the surprise was the announcement of the characters that were attached to it. Because just from the conversation we were having a couple weeks ago about possibly, getting uh freaking more CGI Luke Skywalker and, getting a young Harrison Ford probably in here pretty soon. Like, all of those conversations. We were having a conversation in our GOA chat, and Snell was like, "Oh, all I want is Dooku, Qui-Gon, and like younger like Jedi Council stuff." And I said, "Oh, well, you'll probably get that, but you'll probably get it in a freaking CGI format." And one thing that I guess freaking went right over our heads is the fact that they still have fucking animation that they can do all this. And I'm so glad that I am finally going to see a young Mace Windu. I have been wanting to know what, like, because especially with him being the stick up the ass Jedi in Brotherhood, which we are going to be recording a review soon. So small teaser there. I've always wanted to know what kind of Padawan was Mace Windu, and now I get to know, and I think that's really cool.
I know, it'll be really cool. It's just a Mace Windu. It didn't specify if it was Jedi Knight or Padawan or Master. So we'll see
Okay.
what happens there. But the attendees were treated to one of the episodes which focused on baby Ahsoka with her mother, who was voiced by Star Wars Battlefront 2 lead Janina Gavankar. Fucking hell. Kevin Kiner will be doing the original score for the entire show, and the tone for the episodes will vary. A trailer was also shown which featured shots from Padme's funeral, Ahsoka getting a second saber, Bail Organa, and the one and only Yaddle fighting Dooku.
Yeah.
One of the Ahsoka shorts also seems to be focused on adapting events from the Ahsoka novel by E.K. Johnston, which we know Dave Filoni consulted very heavily with that novel to try and get the details right that he wanted. So I'm very excited for this. This is supposed to premiere in fall of 2022. No specific date as of yet.
Wait, fall of 2022? Oh, and then so fall 2022 we get this, but in, well, I guess in like what, 2 months we get Bad Batch, right?
And
Right? Isn't it August?
in 2 months we get Andor.
Oh, Andor, and then we get,
And then Bad Batch and Tales of the Jedi.
oh, we get them at the same time. Ooh.
I don't know if we'll get them at the same time.
Or pretty close.
Bad Batch is 16 episodes and will debut in fall 2022 at some point. Tales of the Jedi is 6 episodes and it's all a short story. The Tales of the Jedi episodes don't necessarily have a lot of dialogue. They feel more like visual poems, at least in regards to the Ahsoka episodes.
Yeah. And I'm curious of how they're going to tackle the Ahsoka stuff, just because, we haven't seen a whole lot of it. We saw maybe once or twice in the Clone Wars about Padawans being taken. But we never really saw, from what I remember, the interactions with those force sensitive individuals and the parents or the guardians of those individuals. So, like, this, I feel like we're going to see, like, what happens in that interaction. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited also to have Janita Gravankar back. I think she was great in the Battlefront 2 cutscenes that I've seen, but she's also a really great actress in general. So we will see what happens. There was a Marvel Comics panel. Sorry, no, I can't help it.
I'm
Um,
having to move the timer on my notes that says 45 minutes to 48 minutes hiccups. Well, now 50 minutes. Let me go ahead and change that now.
I keep trying to hold my breath and just like slow them down. But I've had them basically since about 10 a.m. this morning, on
That
and off.
sucks.
So, um, there was a Marvel Comics panel. And the only new thing out of there is that Kevin Scott will be writing a trilogy of 3 issues surrounding Yoda. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll kind of track, I think is what they said, over like a certain era of time. But it's supposed to be very similar to the Mace Windu series or mini run that was done,
Yes.
which is no longer in print in a trade, by the way. So
I'm excited about this. I mean, I feel like every year I hear a very large group of people wanting more Yoda stories.
mhm.
And he's always there in these stories, but it's just like we want
Yep.
more Yoda. We want more Yoda. He's not really doing anything. He's in the background. He's talking to people, but what about Yoda? Um, I'm still waiting for the day that we get to see teenage angst Yoda as either a Padawan or a Jedi Knight. That's what I want to see.
It would be very cool to see, I think, and also draw some pretty cool parallels to Grogu in The Mandalorian, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um Speaking of which, I believe this month is supposed to be the debut issue for The Mandalorian, season
Yes.
1 adaptation. So, if you're interested, that's available. I don't think we'll cover it here, but Matt and I may talk about it at some point. He finally finished Trail of Shadows. So now he has to go back and take notes, and then we're going to record our episode. Also, I still forgot to upload Legendary Conversations. So, y'all, that will be up tonight. I promise. I'm going to do that after we get done recording this episode. So, you can go check out our Patreon and listen to me talk about Rogue Planet, Outbound Flight, and the Approaching Storm.
Guys, I
And oh
loved
my gosh, I
editing that.
said all of that without hiccups.
I loved editing that episode, by the way. Go listen to it. I was this close from keeping some of the stuff that so Katie will notice when she messes up. And the very first time she noticed, she said, "Okay, let's move on to this book." And there was a long pause, and all you hear is, "Fuck." Let's write that one for Clay. Go listen to it. Katie works very hard on these legendary conversations. So go listen to it. They're very, very entertaining and very informative to how these legends stories are.
Yeah, I
So
try and like
small little plug
do
there.
a general plots. I do like a little plot summary, and then I'll like try and draw connections to what we currently have in canon, and just kind of things I found interesting and things to pay attention to. So thanks, Ty. Okay. So we talked about Yoda. I keep expecting a hiccup. We're gonna hope that there's no more. Okay, day 4. We had the Bad Batch panel. And all I want to talk about here, since we already said 16 episodes premieres some point in fall 2022, is Gunji! We have Gunji!
I
He survived!
I'm so happy because I was out and about that day, and so I'm periodically just seeing things on my Twitter feed and sharing them, which I got yelled at like 4 times for like sharing misinformation, which I'm sorry. I just like we're always in a race to see who is going to be sharing the first trailers, the biggest news and everything. That's how we are at the GUA. And so I'm just sharing left and right. Travis is basically just done with me. He's like, Clay, no more sharing. And so I see the Bad Batch trailer. I'm like, okay, let's pause. I think I was in the middle of Target. I'm like, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm watching this trailer. And the reason why is I don't get picture notifications on Twitter as far as like I don't see the picture, I just see the text.
Yeah.
And all I saw from Katie was fine, I guess I'll watch Bad Batch. And I was like, what? And so I jumped onto the trailer, watched it, and he's so cute. I'm so glad that he survived. Like, because we all heard that Dave Filoni had almost pitched a Padawan like separate show, but then he was like, "Oh wait, there is no happy ending for these kids." And every single person who put that story out there on the trade, Screen Rant, whatever, they all used the picture from when all of the Padawans were getting their kyber crystals. And Gungi was like right there, and I'm just like, no, don't. Like I've always said, I even said it in the hashtag that I sent Katie. More Wookiees with sabers. That's all I want. That's all I want is more Wookiees with sabers. And just seeing him like in a frame of that trailer by himself, turning on his green freaking lightsaber with the hilt from freaking Kashyyyk. I was just like, that's so fucking amazing. I love it.
And there's also Petro, but mainly Gungi. This is probably the only reason I will be excited to watch Bad Batch. When we finally get this episode with Gungi in it, then I will probably be like, well, shit, what do I have to look forward to now? Like, so I'm very excited. That was about the only, okay, there's one other thing. Crosshair talks with Cody in the trailer. So we have official confirmation that Cody survived Order 66 and is going to be present at some point in the Bad Batch season 2. The from what it looks like in the footage, we're not getting as big of a time jump as I thought we were. Omega it has probably been a couple of months, if that. Not much time has passed.
I'm
She's
not
apparently
seeing anything huge in as far as her growth. And technically, well, no, she was altered as far as her gender, but everything else was unaltered, right? So she is
supposedly
developing.
still an unaltered clone.
Yeah.
So they're saying a lot of people have said this is the first trans character that they're putting in Star Wars because she's unaltered.
Yeah.
Waiting on confirmation. We'll see what Star Wars does. But of course, I headcanon the shit out of anything, so if that's your headcanon, then headcanon away. More than happy to headcanon here. Okay. So the last thing really to talk about is Visions. So Jordan Mason from Cinelinx said that we would be getting a Vision season 2 at some point later this year. It will actually be coming in spring 2023. There's not much to go on. Basically this was the last kind of thing that they talked about in the panel because they talked about impact and everything. I did see a note from Tom Holler, the editor at Del Rey, who edited Ronin, and they said that they tried to get the English voice actor for the audiobook to do Ronin. And the schedules just didn't work out because he was more than willing to do it. Which sucks. But so they talked a lot about like everything, but then the last thing they talked about was, hey, Visions was supposed to be a vision from any type of Star Wars fan. What do you think Star Wars is to you? Kind of thing. And then they showed a map which included South Africa, Chile, Ireland, Japan, Spain, France, and a couple other countries. And said that this will be the studios that are doing Visions. These are the countries of the studios doing Vision season 2.
I'm gonna have to do some research on that, in the sense of I believe you, and that is the correct information. But I want to know what feature films um, they have produced, so that way I can be like, okay, these are what I can expect from our next season of Visions. Um, I'm really excited about this. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's basically one of the quotes that they said about Visions is Star Wars and anime um, has a bright future together, or they are. I can't. What is the exact quote? Do you remember
Yeah.
what it is?
They said I don't remember the exact quote. But a lot of people have said, and the main thing they talked about was like anime will continue to be around Star Wars. So we are
Yeah,
going to continue getting anime, but they are branching out for Visions and it won't be strictly anime. We're still getting a Japanese studio in Visions season 2, but the other studios and heck, the Japanese studio could be a very traditional um animation. I'm trying to find the map because the map was there and no article has the map.
really.
Let me check comicbook.com. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go hunting, and it may just because I know the person. Yeah, they all
I
have the official Star Wars tweet. Star Wars Visions returns, Volume 2, streaming spring 2023.
damn it.
You okay? There's that. That fuck. Did I not include the map anywhere? Okay. Um.
Yeah, no, I'm even trying to go into some of the websites that I don't usually go to uh, for our news sites, and I don't see any map whatsoever.
Oh wait. Okay, I think I know what. I think Zach tweeted it.
Oh, got it. So
You
it
found it?
says here, yes.
Can you share your screen?
Um, don't tell me to name each country because I'm pretty sure I failed geometry. There you go.
Geology.
Geology. See, boom, failed it.
So we have California, England, France, Spain, South Africa, Chile, India, Japan, and I think that it's very tiny. Thailand or South Korea, maybe? I think that's South Korea.
Again, don't tell me to name these because I will get them wrong. Um, I
The
do
map is
think
just small because I love geology. Or that's not it either. Geology is the study of rocks.
geography.
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 Thank you.
There we go. I
Um,
think I can actually right here. So it says such as Spain, Ireland. That's what it was. Is Spain right here, Ireland, India. Um. Oh, it just names three. Are you serious? You're not gonna name all of
yeah.
them? That's annoying. Uh.
I think they just showed this map and was like, here's where Vision season 2 is coming from. And you can you can identify India, you can identify South Africa, you can identify England, France, and Spain. Um it's just and like California, Chile, South Africa, Spain, France, England, Ireland, um, India, Japan, and then it's just there's I think that's South Korea next to Japan there. That yellow highlighted spot.
Okay. Yeah. Right there. All right. But looking very much forward to this. I think it's a great idea to constantly change um, the aesthetic of this and just the idea of like what does Star Wars mean to you. We saw a lot of quote unquote odd stories in the sense of again not traditional Star Wars, but they turned out to be really really cool, really really fun, and that's what I'm expecting from all of these other ones. As far as what studio in California that would be, I want season 3 to have Funimation. That's all I'm asking for. That's based here in Texas. It's the studio that did Dragon Ball Z and a lot of really popular shonen anime. I think that would really be cool for them to do a Star Wars thing. But yeah, really, really fun stuff.
I think that concludes our news.
Yes, I believe it does.
Oh wait, we have one more thing. Shakira Barrera from I think this is Daniel RPK. Yes. Daniel RPK's Patreon page originated a rumor Shakira Barrera is rumored to be cast in Ahsoka. Charles Murphy of Murphy's Multiverse and Jordan Mason of Cinelinx took to Twitter to reveal they'd heard of the casting as well. She is probably best known for her role in the Netflix series Glow. She has also appeared in well-known television series such as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Shameless. A rumor is the rumor mill is speculating that she's playing one of the Martinez sisters from Star Wars Clone Wars Season 7 and Star Wars The Bad Batch. Also, seriously pissed we did not get a cast description list like we did for Obi-Wan Kenobi for Ahsoka. Still pissed.
I think it's
I didn't
more
say
so
that already, but
I think it's more so because they still, for some reason, don't want to show Ezra and Thrawn. Like, you can have a whole casting list without those characters, and they still show up because that's the big surprise. Like, you could still do it, guys. I promise. It's not going to hurt any of our feelings when we are surprised to see Ezra. Like, it won't.
yes, because Mina Masood, I think I said that right, posted on Twitter, huge congratulations to everyone at the Star Wars celebration. Excited to see hashtag Ahsoka and this next phase for the Star Wars universe. May the Force be with you.
So,
And
like,
literally everyone was like, I see what you're doing.
Well, genuinely, we kind of had this conversation in our Star Wars Alliance chat, but I want to ask you here live so everybody can get your answer. Do you think it's happening? Do you think he is Ezra?
I think that's a very sneaky way to get around an NDA right there. Because if you were just saying like, oh, happy Star Wars celebration, everyone, why would you tag Ahsoka? Why would you tag Ahsoka?
I would say he's tagging Ahsoka because that was about the time all the Ahsoka stuff was really popping off. So it's just like he could get away with the convenience of what people are talking about that second. You know, that's
Maybe.
it's marketing 101.
And he could be in Ahsoka and be someone other than Ezra.
That is also true.
We just don't know. Something that I forgot scrolling through our Star Wars Alliance chat, I really wanted to talk about this because, oh my gosh, Adam Christopher, you are killing me. So they did a panel talking about Brotherhood, Shadow of the Sith, and The Princess and the Scoundrel, which are Del Rey's latest and next two books in the Star Wars universe. And Tom asked about connectivity, and I'm reading this from Admiral Jello on Twitter. So thank you for live tweeting. I used a lot of your live tweets. But says Tom said most Star Wars starts with crawls, and crawls are hard, but Shadow of the Sith starts with something else. And it's this quote from Matthew Stover's Revenge of the Sith to set the tone for the novel. And I'm going to read this because it's not that bad. But it says, and in the end, you cannot touch the shadow. In the end, you do not even want to. In the end, the shadow is all you have left because the shadow understands you. The shadow forgives you. The shadow gathers you unto itself. And within your furnace heart, you burn in your own flame. A Warning from a Darker Time. And Tom said when he read the opening, it didn't immediately click it was from Revenge of the Sith. So by instinct, he just started to edit it and rearranged it and everything. And Christopher wrote back on that edit and said, "You can't edit this. This is from Revenge of the Sith." But that is so haunting. Oh my gosh, Clay, you have to read this novelization. This novelization is better than the movie.
Adding it to the list. Hold on.
No, like, and like if this goes to the top of your list, like after Brotherhood, after you're done, because I know I'm like a third of the way through it again on my second read now. So after Brotherhood, you need to read this because this with Kenobi and Brotherhood, because Mike Chin said that you should read Revenge of the Sith as part of your preparations. Like both of them took inspirations from this book. This book is amazing.
Okay. I am actually putting it right here in my notes for editing. So that way, while I edit tonight, I can go ahead and make that order or add some more credits onto Audible for me to read it.
And y'all, if you're listening to this, go read that book. Like Matthew Stover did an incredible job, and it is a source of inspiration for a lot of authors in Star Wars and just in general. A lot of people love that novelization. So I had to, and maybe this is part of the factor, because I was so young when Revenge of the Sith came out, my mom was like, "You can't go see it. It's too adult for you." So I saw Revenge of the Sith probably a year after it released and had to read the novelization. Actually, I didn't read the novelization. My mom read the novelization to me and my siblings so that she could edit out points that she thought were too aggressive for kids.
That's awesome. I
Granted, I was
remember
8 at the time, but
I remember I went to go see Revenge of the Sith with my uncle, I think it was, when it first came out. And then I went to go visit my brother and my dad for that summer. And they were going to make the choice either Batman Begins or Revenge of the Sith. And I really wanted to see Revenge of the Sith again. But instead of saying, "Hey, I want to go see this movie because I really liked it," I said, "I really want to see Revenge of the Sith because I haven't seen it before." And I convinced them to let us watch it, and we watched it. And then as we were walking out, I said, "Man, that was so good the second time around." And they looked at me like, "What the hell? We really wanted to see Batman." And I was just like, "Yeah, I know. But I wanted to see Revenge of the Sith." So even then, Snell, I'm still against Batman, even with one of the best Batman movies that's out there. So just wanted to throw that out there.
We actually, for what we're about to talk about, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I actually had to go into Revenge of the Sith on Disney Plus and kind of compare some things that are in this part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we're gonna talk about it. So
I could probably see some parts that might, make you want to go back. So I am interested to hear what you have to say. But this is going to be a spoiler filled review, as it says in the little scrolling thing at the bottom of the screen here. So if you haven't seen episode 3 of Kenobi, or it doesn't even call them episode 3, they call it part 3 of Kenobi, go watch that now and then come back and listen to us talk about it. So, Katie, you apparently almost had 2 strokes while watching this episode. What happened? Well, you know what? Not even. I feel like that is going right into the deep end. Let's kind of ease into it with the opener. So, I feel like there's a lot to chew on with our conversation that we had last week with episodes 1 and 2, and what transpires in just I have it playing currently, in just the first 10 minutes of this episode. A lot to stuff to chew One of them confirming something that you were kind of talking about just before we started recording this part of the podcast, and something that I was worried about for episodes 1 and 2, or specifically episode 2, the Grand Inquisitor. What happened to him?
I don't. So he's dead. He's dead.
He dead to the fact that like people are fighting for his title. He is dead. Like, or
Because the Grand Inquisitor is a title, not a person.
As people will try to argue, is assumed dead is probably what people will probably come back at us with. But
So I think I said this last week, but I'm gonna go ahead and lay it down. So Rupert Friend, originally in the Obi-Wan Kenobi interviews, was quoted as not watching Rebels to get a good picture on his character of the Grand Inquisitor. And everyone gave him a lot of shit for it. Because, I mean, you're mistreating the animation stories. The Rebels is probably one of the greatest storytelling eras in Star Wars. Why would you not watch it? And he said that it was supported by Deborah Chow. And so everyone kind of turned on her. And then for celebration, after their appearance in the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase, he got quoted in an interview as saying he was misquoted in the original interview and actually discussed not watching it, but then came back around and they decided to go ahead and watch it. And that he really appreciated the storytelling and that he was excited to include those elements into his portrayal of the character. Y'all, I think that was a bold-faced lie to throw people off the track.
yes.
I really think that their first test dummy into cloning is the Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor is a clone of the Grand Inquisitor we see in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Which I would be totally fine with, because one thing that we know is true about the Sith is after Bane, and of course we still know Bane is technically still canon because he is referenced in Clone Wars and people have seen Clone Wars as canon. So the very important thing about the Sith, and even quoted by Master Yoda, there must always be two. The rule of two still implies these Inquisitors are not Sith, they're Inquisitors. The Palpatine would see the Grand Inquisitor and these Inquisitors as puppets, as means to an end, as individuals that can be tested, aka cloning. So I do think that is a very big possibility with the Grand Inquisitor.
And it would explain the initial quote that said he was not intending, he was going to try and make his own portrayal of the character in doing this way into it instead. As Plum says, each clone gets a taller head. I know you're joking. But I think that it is legitimate in explaining the differences in appearance for these two characters. And you can say, oh my gosh, oh, it's a retcon. It's not a retcon. Like, it's not like it's remodeling it, but it also fits a grander storyline because Palpatine is continually trying to clone himself so that he has other bodies to go into. It's why Rey has a parent who's a Palpatine clone. Like, it makes perfect sense if he goes, oh shit, I can't get this done. Let me try and clone this species instead and see if this works. And if he was able to get it to work, then maybe that leads him in a different direction on how to clone himself.
Especially since we said this last week and it's gotten pretty popular on our Instagram and on TikTok. On my TikTok, I made a video specifically talking about when Joe was explaining the connectivity of Star Wars versus the connectivity of the MCU. There is an individual, a team of individuals that when something is written into a script or into anything having to do with Star Wars, they say, hey, that cannot happen because this is happening here, or this happens in a few years after this event in the timeline. They know about Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
And with somebody like Dave Filoni being so far up the ladder in Lucasfilm, I really doubt that you can go to Dave Filoni and be like, hey, I know that you really didn't want Darth Maul in here, so I'm gonna kill the Grand Inquisitor. Like that argument is not gonna fly. I'm sorry. It's not gonna happen. So I genuinely think they could easily say, you know what? You can kill the Grand Inquisitor because he's the clone. And then Deborah Chow was like, what? Yeah, so I'm pretty sure something like that went down. If our theory is correct.
And Dave Filoni has been special thanks to in all 3 episodes so far. So, and we know that he and Favreau had a lot of input into some of the storytelling that's being done. So, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, there's 3 episodes to go, and honestly, if we don't get a resolution to how the Grand Inquisitor returns in this show specifically, especially knowing how canon plays out, that's gonna take it down a notch for me, I think.
I feel like it kind of has to be addressed, especially like you said, because guys, I woke up, quote unquote, woke up when I wasn't really sleeping to Katie saying, "Oh, I almost had a stroke," and we started having this conversation.
I did not have a stroke. I had 2 high heart rate
I know
notifications.
I'm
on my
overplaying
watch.
it, so I should downplay it a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. But we were talking about this whole Grand Inquisitor thing, like way early in the morning, and you made an excellent point. In Star Wars canon, until this point, there is no third sister, but there is a Grand Inquisitor. So something has to happen to make that correct. So we shall see what the next 3 episodes has in store for us. But what gets us that information for the Grand Inquisitor is that we see Darth Vader. We see him in all of his glory getting suited up. And I feel like this is one of those moments where you actually had to go back to Revenge of the Sith. The setup for him being built like a Lego piece, I feel like that's a different arm and like a different, like, it looked a little weird to me.
So I think he had to have a different arm in order to fill out the look. Remember, Vader's almost 7 feet tall. So
that is true.
And
can't have long legs and really short arms. That would be kind of awkward.
I don't know what I just hit. I just hit something. Because like in the comics go into this, he fumbles trying to work with his lightsaber again. So I'm interested to kind of see how this comes out. It is Hayden in the suit. Hayden is in the suit. However, James Earl Jones makes the voice.
This is another conversation that we had. I believe, and you brought it up, but I believe it is AI. And the reason why I believe it's AI is because of how good Mark Hamill's voice was for Luke Skywalker
in Book of Boba Fett.
In the Book of Boba Fett.
In season 1, it wasn't, or in season 2, it was, but like Book of Boba Fett, oh my gosh.
It was almost perfect to how he was almost freaking 40 years ago. So I do think, and I made sure to pay attention on my second round of this show or this episode. I feel like there's a lot of like tailing off on his sentences, and that may be a effect of the modulators, seem more menacing, whatever, seem more robotic. But I think it's AI. I think it's fed as AI, and of course, because it is the likeness of his voice, they do have to credit him.
Mhm.
So
I think so as well because he's 91 now.
Jesus, he's 91.
I think so.
Holy crap!
And we can look that up. James Earl, no. Born January 17th, 1931. Age 91. Yes, I was right.
Holy cow!
Um,
And honestly, I
so
haven't seen James Earl Jones in the flesh, not actually in person, but like I haven't seen him at any kind of award show since maybe 2017, maybe 2018. So, I mean, if he is a healthy 91, more power to him. I'm glad that he is. But like at the age of 91 in today's climate, like you have to be careful. So, don't want to be overworking or anything else. So I think it might be safer for him to just get that paycheck basically for free, you know.
yeah, and because the last voice acting role he had was in
Lion King.
2019 for The Lion King. And then he reprised the role of King Jafar in Coming to America, which was in 2021. So he had a physical appearance there, I believe.
That's
I'm
right.
not
I
clicking
never
the link.
saw that one though. But I knew
I
he
didn't
was
either.
coming back for it. So,
Um,
but
so
if they confirm that, I think that would be kind of cool. If they're like, no, we brought the studio to him and he got to record at home. I think that would be kind of cool.
yeah, and we probably won't get confirmation of that until we get the uh galaxy
Oh yeah, the gallery.
the gallery. Yeah. See, I had it right. I just misplaced the letter.
so
Uh-huh.
so let's move forward in the scene because we see Vader, we see him talking to Riva about this whole thing with the Grand Inquisitor. They in fact found Kenobi.
Before we
Just go
do
find
that,
him.
I want to. So we talked last week about if Qui-Gon Jinn would make an appearance.
I knew this was going to come up. I knew this was going to come up. Go ahead.
So originally, I was team. No, he's not going to make an appearance, or it will be an old. Like they're gonna make it work via like an old statement that he's made. However, with now the knowledge that Liam Neeson will be portraying Qui-Gon Jinn in Tales of the Jedi, it is possible he could make an appearance. But you could also say he's already recording dialogue for Tales of the Jedi.
Why not
Why
just
wouldn't we just have him record dialogue here? Which that is still my thought process. I don't see him making an appearance
yes.
because of the whole body situation, him learning how to do this after he died.
Yes.
My thought process would be, hey, he's here.
I think the more and more they play with the idea that Kenobi is talking to Qui-Gon, he's going to, because I feel like Ian McGregor said, this is the Joker or the Logan of Star Wars. By the end of this series, I think he's going to be beaten up. He is going to be more down than he's ever been down before. But one thing that helps him gain the hope that we all know he will eventually have for A New Hope, I think Qui-Gon does need to make that booming voice appearance to, encourage him. So that's what my prediction is it's just the voice, not the physical body or the ghost body.
Yeah, because he was in, he, I could feel that, I could feel the hiccups coming back. Okay. He voiced Qui-Gon Jinn in 3 episodes for the Clone Wars, which we see an actual ghost type figure, but that is also on Mortis. I
Yes.
think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different being on the planet of the Force. But he is listed for Obi-Wan Kenobi so far as 2 episodes archive material in his filmography. Um And then for Qui-Gon Jinn, it is listed, hey, he's voicing Qui-Gon Jinn in Tales of the Jedi. So I still think we're going to get voice. I don't think physical appearance. So anyways, okay. Moving on. We have landed on Mapuzo.
Yes. This I was not expecting. Because of course Kenobi and Leia are just walking along trying to find this place that they're supposed to meet up with whoever. Kenobi is very on the fence. He's very jittery. He's looking back and
He's just
forward.
pessimistic. He's pessimistic, y'all.
Yeah, like he is very much. I had to rewind. I don't. Did he cuss when he was like, "Oh, I think he like that guy played us or whatever"? I like for some reason felt like he cussed. I was like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, come on now, chill out. You're gonna do okay. But when they were walking,
I don't think he did.
Okay. When they were walking and he saw somebody in robes. Again, guys, I watched this at 4 a.m. I rewound and played that one part at least 5 times at 4 o'clock in the morning, making sure that my eyes were seeing this correctly. Katie, did you know that we were going to be getting Hayden so early in such an ominous freaking scene?
Okay, I was wondering if you were rewinding for the cuss word. I was trying to follow where you were going. Like if you were just trying to hear Obi-Wan cuss.
No. Like the part that came out right afterward. Like this, I like, because first you only see like a very small sliver of the face, and then the body turns, and that's Hayden. That is him. That's not not just some random person wearing a robe. That is Hayden. And like my jaw dropped, and I was like, oh, like I'm so glad that I get to see him right now. But like at the same time, like Kenobi's going mad, and I don't know how I feel about this. This is great.
And I had the conversation with Matt, y'all, to draw everything up in a pretty line for everyone. Obi-Wan hears Anakin referred to as Lord Vader in Revenge of the Sith. At the end, he knows Anakin is Vader. So we get here, and episode 2 happens, and Reva says, Lord Vader, and then you see Obi-Wan Kenobi go, oh shit. And then she goes, ah, yes, Anakin Skywalker is alive. He's been looking for you for years. And so I had to draw that out for Matt because Matt was like, but how does he know Anakin's Vader? So we had that conversation this morning, and then we had it again this afternoon but I think he's got it. But that is how that works, y'all. Reva may not know that Vader is Anakin Skywalker automatically. I think Reva picked Anakin Skywalker is Vader out of Obi-Wan Kenobi's head.
Yes.
So now Obi-Wan has thought for years that Anakin Skywalker is dead. He has not touched technology unless he has to, because he doesn't want the Empire going, oh, okay, transmissions are continuing to come out of here. No, he's staying in hiding and focusing on protecting Luke and making sure that Luke is okay with the Larses. So Obi-Wan has no clue about Vader because Vader was very prominent on Hollows and everything. They were like, this is the Emperor's right-hand man. So he would have no physical idea that Vader exists because Tatooine in bars and stuff also didn't play Imperial Hollows. Remember the lady who got her hand cut off in episode 1? Like, nobody cares about you out here. Go away. We don't care. So it makes perfect sense that he would have no idea that Anakin's alive. Point blank, plain and simple. So he is absolutely frightened. He's thought for 10 years that Anakin Skywalker, his best friend, his brother, is dead. And now we get here and he's like, oh shit. Like, I have had nightmares about this. Like, Anakin's death plays over and over in his head as he sleeps.
Yeah.
And now he's got to face the facts of, oh shit, he's alive. So now those nightmares come to life, whether that's like physically or just emotional hallucinations, which is what this Hayden image is. It's an emotional hallucination because Obi-Wan is like, Anakin's waiting for me. Anakin is hunting me down. Anakin is waiting for me to make a mistake.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he says to Qui-Gon. He says, "Master, he's here. He's looking for me." Um, this was just the start of a great episode. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that
And
now.
yes, because my heart did not stop pounding. I said, oh my gosh, is that Hayden? And Matt goes, yeah, that's Hayden. And like it just like kept rising. I looked at my heart rate chart on my Apple Watch and it just like it climbs. It goes like to 100, 110, 120, 130. It even got to 145, y'all. Like
Jesus
my
Christ.
heart was pounding. And it doesn't help with the medication I'm on, but that's different, obviously different story. But like, so it, in case people were worried about me. Anyways, so like, oh my gosh, this is just a tension building episode, and it builds you up to that point in the end where it's like lightsaber.
I loved this episode. And I loved what came after this scene with them finding that driver, whatever he was.
Freck, played by
Freck.
Zach Braff.
Yeah. Freck picked them up and was going to take them to an outpost, trying to get off planet. Obi-Wan had already come up with this plan or this story of, hey, you're my daughter. I am, what do you call him? Orden, I think his name.
Farmers from Tall.
Yeah, Farmers from Tall, Orden.
Leia came up with the name.
And Luma, yeah. And he was like, you're my daughter that doesn't speak. I can't speak or I choose not to speak. You can't speak. Okay. And then she proceeds to talk. But they go onto this vehicle. He picks up some stormtroopers, and this moment nearly broke my heart. There was this conversation that they were having, and Obi-Wan accidentally calls Leia, and the stormtrooper says, you said her name was Luma. Why did you say Leia? And he goes, oh, that was her mother's name. Sometimes I get confused.
Oh, Leia says that. Leia was like, that was my mother's name.
Yeah. And no. So, because she freaks out. She kind of just like freezes when they say something. And it's Obi-Wan that says, oh, that was her mother's name.
You're right.
And then he says, sometimes when I see her, I see her mother in her. And I was like, oh no, my heart. And then they get off the truck. But then Leia decides, hey, Clay, I know your heart is hurting, but let me crush it real quick by saying, you knew my mother, didn't you? You've been hiding something from me from the very start. Are you my father? And I was like, no, please, no, don't do this. And Obi-Wan says the most heartwarming thing I think I have ever seen in Star Wars, which is, oh, I wish I could say that I was, but I'm not. Like she has already made such an impression onto Obi-Wan that he was like, if you were my child, I would be so proud of you. That's basically what he was saying with that statement. And he doesn't outright say, yes, I knew your mother. But they go on to have this conversation about what is it like to be a Jedi, in the sense of like, she was like, oh, I don't really feel like I belong and all of this. And he's like, oh, well, I kind of get those glimpses every now and again too, because of how, the Jedi are taken from their families. He reminisces about his family, which I had to do research on this. He says, oh, I remember a hand, I remember this of my mother, and I remember a baby. And Leia's like, a baby? He's like, yes, I believe I had a brother. And I was like, clicking on my keyboard, Obi-Wan brother. Did you know that in a script at one point, Lars was Obi-Wan's brother?
Yes.
What? My brain is melting by this point.
And the fun fact, remember from the Kenobi review that we did, Kenobi actually, John Jackson Miller puts in the line, oh, there's dozens of Kenobis on Tatooine.
Yes.
That's the connection there. Is, hey, we recognize that originally Obi-Wan, Lars, but yeah, we're putting this in
That,
here still.
that's very cool. I really enjoy that. That's really, really cool. And then we get to a very intense scene where they get to this what is this some sort of stop that they have to do. Stormtroopers with protocol droids start to come out,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the attention to detail on where they place Obi-Wan's blaster, because the blaster goes on the right, the lightsaber goes on the left. And I just saw him move his robe and I saw the blaster. I was like, that's cool. They remembered which side is what. And there's a shootout. It happens really, really quick, but Obi-Wan is able to basically kill everybody except for Frick. He actually knocks him out.
Mm-hmm.
And they get
And the laser gate cutting the trooper in half. Was that
amazing.
not so amazing? Yes,
It was
amazing.
so satisfying because for me, I just thought, oh, it's a gate. What could happen? And then that happened. I was like, oh, so that's why they can't just ram through it. Makes sense. But we get the I can't remember her name as the actress, the one that we saw the set photos for.
Indira Varma.
Yes. We see her character come in and save Obi-Wan and Leia. And they are going to find a way to get off planet, and she's going to help them. This is where we start to see more stuff intensify. Katie,
Well, okay. Let's.
which way are
Sorry,
we
I
going?
was.
Are we going forward or backward?
So we saw Reva communicate with Vader in the beginning, but then we
Yes.
also get Fortress Inquisitorius.
Yes, that's the one I skipped. I'm sorry about that.
And we see the fourth sister and fifth brother, and Reva basically comes in and commands them, and fifth brother's like, no, I'm next in line, which is basically confirming, hey, Grand Inquisitor is dead, because yeah. And so they're all like, oh, fighting about it, and Reva's like, Vader told me to lead this, so do you want me to tell him that I'm following your orders now? And so they send probe droids out to the mining colonies because Reva tracked and said, okay, these are the potential paths that they could have gone to.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay, going back.
So I think this was really cool because when they got the go ahead to go into this building, we see that there is basically some underground tunnels that are going to get them safely to a spaceport to get them off planet. But in this small little room that they have now encountered, we get some name drops.
Yes.
So I only knew one of these name drops.
The one that's actually physically said.
Yes. Which is, oh shoot, I forgot his name.
Quinlan Voss.
Yes, Quinlan. So I was really happy to hear Quinlan because I don't know why his character design has always been one of my favorites. And I was the one to tell my brother, who thinks he's a bigger Star Wars fan than me. I was like, did you know that this random Jedi has a cameo in Phantom Menace and nobody knows about it a whole lot? He's like, what are you talking about? And I went on Disney Plus and I showed them Quinlan Vos in the very back corner of one scene. And he's like, oh, well, that doesn't count because I didn't know about it. I was like, what? So people with older brothers, don't let them bully you when you know more about stuff than they do. But yes, Quinlan Vos was the only one that I knew. But you shared with our Star Wars Alliance chat some other stuff that people went and found out with some translators and everything else. So what are these other names?
So, oh my gosh, we get another Easter egg connection to Children of the Jedi. The first Star Wars book that I actually read myself. One is Jyn Altus, who served during the Clone Wars, though he ended up splitting from the Jedi Council in key ways, ultimately creating his own sect of Jedi using the Chunther as a mobile academy. He was the one who trained Callista, the first person Luke fell in love with in the Legends material. He also popped up in the old Republic Commando novels, which I'm about to start reading in 2 legendary conversations from now. But he was helping Cal Skirata and his clones slash Mandalorians hide after Order 66 was issued. The next one on the list was Roganda Ismarin. She was another Jedi Purge survivor and served as a primary antagonist in Children of the Jedi. In the novel, it was revealed she'd been captured by the Inquisitors. Yes, even Legends had them. I'm reading this from Jordan Mason's from Cinelinx. He wrote down all the Easter eggs and everything. But she was taken to Coruscant. There she survived and ended up becoming one of Palpatine's concubines and ultimately one of his hands. She and that the hands connection is like the Emperor had hands, but then there were also Inquisitors, and Emperor's hand was an assassin that specifically worked for Palpatine. Mara Jade was an Emperor's hand. She gave birth to a son, Eric, through an affair, and taught him the nature of the dark side and was positioning him to become the heir to Emperor Palpatine before he died. We don't get any of that information, obviously, from just the name on the wall, but it's still a cool reference considering her son is Lord Nyax, because basically she surgically implants uh like he basically gets stabbed through the brain with a lightsaber and becomes brain dead, though all his other organs are still beating. So she tries to do all these things to bring him back to life, even like putting like droid programming and fake memories in his head, and giving him all these bionic implants. So basically he is a walking lightsaber man. I think he has lightsabers in his elbows and at his wrists, and he just walks around, and he's like the main person I think they have to take down in Children of the Jedi. It's a really, really cool connection. Lord Nyax. And then the other name on the board, which I am more excited about than anything else because it continues to confirm what we got in episode 2. Valen Halcyon, aka Hal Horn in Star Wars Legends. And he is the father of Corran Horn. And Corran is the one that we saw in last week's episode, the kid with his mom who was talking with Haja. Corran, reading. So Valen Halcyon was a Jedi who survived the Jedi Purge and ended up taking the name Hal Horn, kind of falling in lines with the Halcyon. That was the connection there. Hal Horn was Corran's father, who was eventually killed by the bounty hunter Bosk, but not before leaving a message for his son, which prompted Corran to begin his own Jedi training under Luke. Obviously, things are a bit different, but getting both of them canonized within the last 2 episodes is pretty cool. So, those
I do have to ask you though, because I have seen speculation now that this name in particular has dropped. There has been speculation that they will actually be a bigger part of the story for the last 3 episodes. I think that's a little bit of a stretch considering what takes place at the end of this episode. Like,
Mhm.
But I mean, it's always possible that we're introduced to new characters in these last 3 episodes. But what do you think?
I don't think they'll have a big appearance. I think this is a good way to kind of put them in and kind of gauge people's to them reaction to them versus trying to just like put them in as a big part of the story. So you could see it both ways, but what we get at the end of the episode, I find that highly unlikely. I don't think we'll be making a trip to Corellia anytime soon.
Yeah. So when all this is happening, they're about to leave, and Obi-Wan feels something so strong in the Force that he is almost brought to his knees. Like he is about to collapse. And we all know immediately what this means. We all immediately know, oh shit, Darth Vader is about to be there. And my God.
This is
Well, go ahead.
This is probably my first like part of the episode because we see the stormtroopers come in and they're interrogating this loader droid who's helping them. And they're like, oh, well, it's a loader droid. It doesn't understand you. And when they leave and the door closes, it is light outside. Then there's no transition. There's no like, okay, couple hours later moment. We just immediately transition. Tala is like, hey, pack your bags. We're getting on the road. And she calls the pilot and is like, hey, we're moving up the schedule. Like, so she's getting changed out of her Imperial garments, and Obi-Wan just feels it. And it's probably maybe 15 minutes. But it's not enough time for it to get that dark outside.
Hey, you don't know that they're in a system that has really quick sunrise and sundown moments. Like, you don't know. It's Star Wars.
That's what Matt said, which is legit, but it's also, really? We're going to do this? Really?
I literally just came up with it just now.
Everybody thinks of legitimate Earth rotations. Like, the rotation stuff where things are shorter is explained in books because it's easier to explain in books.
Yes.
So, if that's the explanation, then that's the explanation. Fucking hell. But that's the first time I go mix for an oh my gosh, beautiful scene. Because basically we get Vader and Vader's just walking through town and then he gets to a specific range. And then he stops just dead in the street. And it's just like, and then he drags a person by the throat into the middle of the street and just starts killing people.
This is the brutal Vader that we have all been seeing in the comics, that we've all been wanting to see in live action, and this is just a taste.
This is just a taste.
I don't know if they would do it. I am not confident enough to say, hey, I can believe this is going to happen. But when Hayden Christensen is coming out here saying, oh, I think there could be a lot of interesting things to go over if there was ever a Vader spinoff series. Yes. 100% yes. Because of this entire end of the episode, yes. I want it all. The brutalest thing that Vader could do is when he's killing this old man. It's already an older, brittle old man. This man's son comes in there screaming, no! And Vader snaps his neck.
He literally just pulls the son out. He does the same thing that he did with the father. The father's sitting there struggling, and the son is just staring at him because he knows if he moves, he's going to die. And
And he
instead,
dies
Vader just
anyway.
goes and snaps his neck.
It's so fucking brutal.
Brutal.
And it's so good because then he grabs this random woman on the street and just drags her with the force. Then unveils that there was two people hiding in the distance while Obi-Wan has made his way outside of that building. Vader can now sense him even more so. And so he turns, he doesn't see them. But then the next thing you know, we see Obi-Wan out in this like open field type thing. And all we see is that red fucking lightsaber just power on. And Obi-Wan's reaction is to pull the saber, but he doesn't turn it on. He is horrified. He is like basically shitting himself right now. And he
This
says,
is the Friday the 13th chase down of Star Wars.
Katie, the next line is quite possibly going to be a tattoo of mine. He says, "What have you become?" And Vader says, "Oh shit!" What he says, "I've become oh shit! What was it? I just had it. Brain fart here. I have the episode coming up right here." He says, "I have the freaking things on. I don't have it. What the hell?"
That's too early, or that's too late.
I know that it's here somewhere. Oh, right here. Okay. So he turns on the saber like so. Yes. Oh no, that Obi-Wan freaking just like he is terrified. He's not even saying anything.
Yeah.
I don't have.
He just takes off running.
But Vader, he does ask him, "What have you become?"
I think it's this next part.
Yeah. So dramatic music plays.
You cannot run, Obi-Wan. And okay, the light from the sabers. I've got it paused at 33:32. The light from the sabers. That feels more like a physical effect than a special effect, would you say?
Yes, I do believe that. So the sabers that they use now, even Ian McGregor and Hayden Christensen made comments about them. In the prequels, they were metal rods, and then they would CG everything with the saber.
Yeah.
And here, you can even see when they are filming, they are using stunt sabers that people have specifically made. They legit look like toy sabers or collectible sabers, and you can fight with them. I see them all the time on TikTok. They're amazing. But I love the power of the blue lightsaber here because it completely engulfs McGregor's face.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does this weird effect because it's so dark out during the scene. It kind of gives everything else like this black and white feel to it. It's very like it just sucks all the energy out from the scene, and you only have the blue light. It's so good. I love this scene.
It does differentiate from what we have previously, which has been a lot of the complaints, is specifically this scene. Because it's very hard to do chase scenes in a circular stage. It's very hard. And
Vader says, "I am what you made me."
Does Obi-Wan say it like to him? Or like
yes. So he says at 34 minutes. So right at 34 minutes, or maybe even a little bit before that, I think 33.
I'm at 33:53.
Yeah. At 57, 58.
What
have you become? And he says, "I am what you made me." I was like, oh, like that is the worst thing that you could tell Obi-Wan. because it is 100% true. Again,
Yep.
yes, he has been manipulated by Palpatine and everything else. That is 100% true. But the being that he is right now, the monster that he is right now, is because of the fight that these two brothers had at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Solely. And for him to say that, I was just like, holy shit. Like, what's going to happen here? Now, there is something that you wanted to bring up in this fight. You said, hey, make sure that we talk about this. I'm interested to hear why. But you said,
this was the main thing I went back to Revenge of the Sith for. And this is again something that I saw on Twitter today that had some people concerned with like the special effects, but also the differences between what we've seen with lightsaber fights previously and what we get in this. If you look closely, and I'm about to get to it, I think, at 35:20 is where I'm at right now. The lightsabers, when they hit each other, they start sparking.
yeah.
No other lightsaber fight that I could find has sparks. You only see a light, like a light bounce when the sabers hit.
But
you don't get sparks.
So again, may be an aesthetic choice, but when the sabers clash, especially in the original trilogy, and I would even say a little bit in the prequel trilogy, when they clash, there is a bright white light.
Yes, that's the light flash that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so people, and I don't care one way or another. I like seeing the lightsabers when they hit each other, that there's something happening. But like they're physically sparking. Like I just watched the scene where Obi-Wan's like on his hands and
Yeah, and
feet,
he
like just
yeah.
crawling backwards and holding it up. Yeah. It's and maybe that's more realistic, and that's what they're gonna choose to go forward with in live action, because again, Revenge of the Sith, 2003. This 2022.
Yeah.
So technology changes, and I just want people to remember that. If like it's an aesthetic choice, or it's the technology changing, one of the two, but it's something to note in the differences and to see if this is just a Deborah Chow pick, or if we get lightsaber on lightsaber combat in the future, what do they choose to pick? Is this something that's going to change regularly?
Oh, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, and plus, I just want to say there's a moment where Vader and Obi-Wan are fighting, and all of a sudden Vader force pushes him really, really far. That one scene was the video set leak that went out everywhere. I watched it. I held my mouth for so long. That one scene where he pushes Obi-Wan was the one that got leaked. But the thing that I just noticed, because even when he pushed him with the force, the saber hit the ground and it sparked. So with these quote
But that's
unquote,
also sand that it's interacting with, which is
yeah,
going to make glass.
yeah, but with these stunt sabers that people make for people to like have actual hand-to-hand combat with these things, they make them to the point to make them durable, but they immediately put in sound effects, they put in light effects and everything else. Maybe this is something that they're using, and to hide those effects, they need to add something to it in order to like put your eye somewhere else, you know? A little sleight of
Maybe
hand.
that's a good point.
It's just something that I just noticed. So it could be that it could very well just be no, we just added it for the nice, look of it. So who knows? And then there was something else that you wanted to bring up as well. Oh, you know what? Something that I wanted to bring up that I just remembered. This whole thing with Reva's character. Especially with her having this like basically measuring dicks moment with Fifth Brother and everything else, right? So everybody's so mad at the betrayal that this character is bringing to Star Wars. And you know, we've talked all about the racism, whatever, but I saw somebody today throw this out, and I was like, oh shit. Reva is Anakin Skywalker if he was always on the dark side. Impulsive, angry, all of his characteristics are that of Reva.
Yep. And that's what people's argument has been. If she was a white male character, no one would give a shit. They would be like, oh, this guy's a badass. He doesn't give two shits about anyone else. I can't wait to see what he does in the future. But you put that in a black female, everyone loses their fucking minds.
But it's like to think of that and knowing that she is hunting down Obi-Wan, like that is the just desserts of it all. Like Obi-Wan thought he was done with Anakin and Vader, and now he's getting it twice full, like 200-fold, because of both of them now going after him.
Yep.
This is going to be a lot for Obi-Wan to deal with in the next few episodes. I can only imagine what this conclusion is going to be in the next 3 episodes, you know?
Yeah. Aaron Brola brings up a good point. I think 6 episodes may be a little short. It was too short for Moon Knight. Maybe episodes would have been a better mark to hit to tell a fuller story, because the end of this does feel rushed. We get to the scene in, I guess, the main quarry where they're like processing the material they're doing. And oh my gosh, I've got it paused right now. And Darth Vader has just started to lift Obi-Wan by his throat. This scene was brutal. Like, we talked about the village, but like dragging your master, which granted, I know he let you get burned up by lobsters, but still.
This is
Like,
essentially the
dragging
exact
your
same thing.
master. Yeah.
Like,
dragging your master through that fire and just listening to Obi-Wan scream. Oh my gosh, like Anakin has no heart left in him.
Well, no, like for me, I was like, is he burning his face? Like, there is no actual, like, again, Star Wars, skin grabs, technology is great in the world of, or the galaxy of Star Wars. It could be explained if he gets, you know, a better looking face. But for a split second, I legit thought that he was literally dragging his face and his side of his body in the fire. It was a horrific scene.
He drags his arm through it, his lightsaber arm.
Yeah.
He drags through it, and he is only saved by the mercy of Tala, which is the last thing that I really wanted to talk about. So Tala is running Leia through this maze of tunnels and basically comes to realize, hey, Obi-Wan's not right behind us. And Leia says, go. And Tala takes off running. So we don't see that the tunnels branch off anywhere. Leia is supposed to keep running towards the port where she's going to meet the pilot to take her to Jabin. Tala somehow gets past Reva, who is at the front of the tunnels, and she has discovered the hideaway, discovered the tunnels, and is like thinking, but we never see Tala actually enter the building that the tunnels came from. And at the end of the Vader scene, we see the loader droid that they were with walking off.
Yes.
So Tala just somehow manages to get out of the tunnels and gets onto this hill of sand and manages to shoot the trooper that is trying to take Obi-Wan, and then sets the lake that Vader built back on fire so nobody can get to Obi-Wan. And then the loader droid comes in. Matt and I turned this scene over for about 5 minutes and went back and forth between Tala and when she shoots the gun. And there is nowhere where we see her like exit and take off running. And I'm fine with saying, oh, okay, hey, the tunnels have some sort of exit strategy. But like, I think that should have been illustrated better because I think this is a big plot hole.
I thought about it as well because Reva's a killer. If somebody is in her way, she is going to kill them. Case in point, the pilot. So, like,
and Reva doesn't take the tunnels to the port. She basically gets on a speeder and goes to the port. And this is another question where Matt was like, well, how does she know which ship to grab? And I'm like, they shut the ports down. So there's only going to be one ship that has a pilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I question that as well. I honestly would say one small hiccup in a really great episode. But I will say this. I am willing to say, Katie, I think your theory is correct. The theory that you had last week was that Reva was a Padawan that escaped the academy and listened to a broadcast of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and she let that hate fester. As soon as she saw the symbol of the Jedi in that room, she got so pissed.
Yep.
And I think it's because this hate for Kenobi,
Obi-Wan and Yoda left them behind to die.
Yeah. I think that's what it's going to end up being. So I think that's going to be true. Any predictions? I will go ahead and say we left this out when we were talking about new stuff, but TJ in the chat had said Vader is going to kick Obi's ass next episode, apparently, as well. What do you think? Do you think we're going to get back-to-back fights from Obi and Vader?
I think ultimately we're going to get. I don't think we're going to get back-to-back fights. I think what's going to happen is we are going to get. We're going to skip time, and Obi-Wan's going to wake up on a ship with Tala and Ned B, and he's going to be like, where the fuck is Leia? And Tala's going to be like, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I've lost her.
I can see that as well. And the one thing that I was questioning, because everybody's been wanting the exact same thing, people still speculate that we're going to get it in this episode, or not this next episode, but in the series overall. I don't know if there's time for a Kenobi Skywalker Clone Wars flashback.
I know. I was saying that in the second watch through, and I was like, man. And I think it was around the time Hayden actually pops up. And I'm like, man, I really hope we get to see them in their Clone Wars armor. And Matt's like, where is that going to fit in the story? And I'm like, I don't know. I just want it.
Like, unless we legit, and I can't believe S-Pubs, you have donned this, but are we going to get a flashback to when Kenobi is healing from his arm? Like, maybe, but I just don't know.
I don't think he's going to be in a bacta tank. It might be like a nightmare. I think a nightmare might be probable.
But again, oh well, maybe. Like, in my mind, though, I'm just kind of thinking, what in Clone Wars that we know of? Because Disney, I don't know if we even said this on our last few episodes, but Disney put out a watch list for Kenobi, which had, I think it had like 6 episodes of Clone Wars. So, or maybe even more of that. So, in my mind, I'm thinking,
was it?
I don't know if I can find it again. I think I saw it from a TikTok.
It was Disney Plus UK. Tales of the Jedi, Skeleton Crew, Andor. Come on, where is it? It was here somewhere.
I
Yep, here it is.
I just
On
okay.
May 20th, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Clone Wars movie, The Clone Wars Season 2, episodes 12 through 16, The Clone Wars Season 4, episodes 15 through 18, The Clone Wars Season 5, episodes 14 through 16, Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so you have like almost 10 episodes of Clone Wars that are probably a little bit more Kenobi driven. But again, you can throw in some stuff that Anakin has to go through as well in there. Because I think one of those episodes is the father, son, and daughter episode where they predict that he will become Vader. I think. But again, I think that there might be some time that we can throw in there for Clone Wars. But I hope that it doesn't be. I hope that it's not thrown in there just for the fan service of it all. I need there to be an actual reason why it happens.
There definitely needs to be a reason.
But after that, I mean, that is it for the episode. We are left with another chase. So we're gonna see. Are we gonna see some more bad edits? In the next episode. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. A little bit of a longer episode. S-Bubs, thank you for keeping the chat lively. Of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. You go into the link tree in my bio. You can find all the links to the shows that I host, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Ranger Alliance, and of course, Star Wars Alliance. What about you, Katie?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Slice of Katie. My other show on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network is Slice of Film 1 on Twitter. And we just dropped our latest episode covering Top Gun Maverick. That episode with Mark absolutely a blast. I had migraine brain the whole time we were recording it. But it actually worked out because I think the flow worked out fantastically. So, the next episode will be Jurassic World, I think. And then it will be split. So that's our June episodes. So yeah, there's that. This show you can find on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, I think. At Star Wars Alliance without the A in the war is very important. Don't forget it. Or did you upload it on your personal Twitter? Personal TikTok?
I did do my personal TikTok. I have not created one. I think I will be creating one for Star Wars and one for DC Alliance because those are the shows that I host here at the GOA. Maybe people can convince Brent, because he's very active on TikTok as well, can make one for Marvel Alliance.
So yes, so look out for that. We'll be on TikTok soon, but we are on Instagram and Twitter. If you have any questions for us, if you want to provide some feedback, you are more than welcome to DM us on either Instagram or Twitter, or let us know in a message or in a tweet or a comment. If you want to provide feedback, next week, we will be talking about part 4 for Obi-Wan Kenobi and whatever news decides to come out. We will be joined by Rick Shu from Batman on Film to talk about that episode. So make sure you are tuned in next week. I believe it's going to be 7 p.m., but I have to follow up with him and just kind of make sure, because we may push it back to 9 just to accommodate his schedule. With that, y'all, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the Force be with you.
See ya.